everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Georgia and today I'm going to be watching the season 4 Supernatural gag reel, and I will also be listing my top 5 episodes of seasons 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now getting into my top 5 episodes, we'll start off with season 1 naturally, and I think my opinions are gonna be quite unpopular. I don't really know which is like the most loved ones in the fandom, but like season 1 especially I think are gonna be quite rogue, but we'll see. So in at number 5 we have got Phantom Traveler. I don't feel so bad about putting Monster of the Week's episodes in season 1 because the majority of them were that, but Phantom Traveler I feel like was the first episode where I was like, this concept does work, because prior to that we'd had like Wendigo and Dead in the Water and they were like quite serious ones, whereas Phantom Traveler we had Dean being scared of planes, a more comedic Monster of the Week, and it was also our first look at demons, which was interesting. It was the first time I was like, wow, this show can actually be really funny while also doing all this serious stuff, so I really liked it. And then in at number 4 we have got Skin, an episode that I feel like I reference a lot because they bring the shapeshifters back quite a lot. I loved this episode. We got Demon Dean, like seeing one of the Winchesters be the bad guys. Well, nowadays it's what I live in fear of. It was so great to see it that first time because it was like, oh my god, one of them can actually be possessed. Because it was pre-possession tattoos. It was so cool seeing Dean be someone else, and you know the real Dean was locked up somewhere, and it was such a like plot twist. And also it was like an important episode because Dean died, and since then they've run into trouble because Dean is supposed to be dead and then he gets caught doing all this shady stuff. Number 3 is Home, which I think if I had to predict the fan favourite of season 1, I would think it's Home. The first time we saw John in the present day hiding from his sons, and it was like, whoa, what is he doing? He was there the whole time. But the boys went home. We got to see Mary for the first time in the present day. She was trying to protect a little girl, but she was like made of fire, and it made her look like she was a proper bad guy. Very sweet moment when they got reunited with her and she said her goodbyes, and it also ties in now with a lot of stuff that's happened recently when she said that she's sorry to Sam. Now we know what she was sorry for. And also Missouri remains one of my, well, maybe my favourite one episode cameo. She has just been such a stand-up for me. I loved her. Number 2. I found the top 2 quite hard, but there's one that I always regard as my favourite episode of season 1, so I had to keep it that way. But number 2, we have got Nightmare. I loved that episode. Our first look at a special child back when we didn't know what it was. Max having these powers, and then Sam having visions of it, so they went there and then he was able to open the cupboard, like he moved something out of the way so that he could get out of a closet. That was astounding at the time, which he doesn't really move stuff anymore, does he? That was like a one-time thing. He's primarily had visions, and then obviously season 4 it's exercising demons with his hands, but that was the only time he ever moved something, right? But that was such an like a big thing back then. But I also loved the tragedy of it all, with it being such a heartbreaking story. Like, it was such a heartbreaking story, but it was so well played out, and you could really see what drove Max to do what he did in that episode. And they tried their best to help, but alas they couldn't do it because he had been so traumatized by the adults in his life. It was an episode that had a sad ending, but I wasn't mad about it in any way, I don't think. Well, I'm not anymore. If I was mad at the time, I'm over it. But yeah, it kind of set us on the path of the special children, and I love the special children. That's why I loved season 2 so much. So yeah. And then number 1, Faith. Now yes, I know what you may be thinking. Oh my god, you don't have the finale or the penultimate episode or the pilot in there. I think pilots especially they're never gonna be in your top 5 the first time round. I don't even think it would be in my top 10. Pilots are like nostalgic when you finish a show and then you go back and watch it and you think, oh my god, look at how little they knew back then, look at how different they are and stuff like that. But when you're watching a show for the first time, I don't know about you, but the pilot episode is rarely my favourite because you don't know the characters. So it's after you see their character development that you go back and watch the first episode and think, this is iconic, number 1. But yeah, so the pilot is in there. The finale and Salvation, they were close, but when I think and look back at the other episodes, I was just thinking, I have like a lot more fondness for the other episodes. I don't know, because I haven't rewatched any of them besides when I edited them. So I just basically have to go off what I remember, and I just remember really loving these 5 episodes more than Devil's Trap, Salvation, the pilot. So there we have it. Faith. I feel like I always regard that as one of my favourite episodes of the show, and within reason. It was such a good episode. Dean was dying. Dean was dying. I was like, what? This can't be. The first time we saw a glimpse of a Winchester being close to death, I wasn't prepared for how many more times it was going to happen. The possibility of Dean dying was an interesting one, and there was a good plot twist in that episode with it not being the guy who was healing people that was doing the black magic. It was his wife, so he genuinely was a good person who thought he was doing something right, but his wife was secretly killing healthy young people in order to like trade those lives. So that was a good twist. And Layla, I said Missouri. No, I think Missouri does top Layla, but I loved Layla. One of Dean's best love interests for sure. She was great, and that's a sad one. I said I was happy with how Nightmare ended, like even though it was tragic, but Faith, I always think, poor Layla, like it really does grip you. I think it's because her illness felt so real, because it's like, you know, it's something that's so prevalent in society today that hear about people dying of cancer all the time. So that one like hurt because it was the first time it felt like properly real, like she has a real illness and she's not gonna be cured, and it hits more hard because of society today. But anyway, Faith is my favourite episode of season 1. I didn't expect to talk for so long about season 1, but here we go. Season 2, my second favourite season now. I can't believe it got dethroned. I'm so shook. Number 5 is the season premiere, In My Time of Dying. That's another one that I feel like, oh, this could be people's number 1 for that season. There's one of my top 5 that I know people are going to be like, what? But anyway, In My Time of Dying, John died. We had Yellow Eyes, we had a Reaper, we had Dean like in between veils. So much new stuff in that episode that was like, whoa. John died. I was like, I did not think that would be a thing, and he died and he stayed dead. Like, I cannot believe it. I still kind of can't believe that he died so early on in the show, but there we have it. But also the idea that people get stuck in between the veil with what Tessa had said to Dean, that was new information, and we saw like an in-between world. And then John summoned Yellow Eyes. He made a deal for Dean, even though Dean had never felt like John liked him as much as Sam, and it showed how much he truly did love his sons, even though he, you know, it doesn't always do the right thing. It was great. I thought that the performances were great. That scene, that ending scene when Sam drops his cup, runs in. Oh, and the suspense of not knowing what John whispered to Dean killed me. Number 4, All Hell Breaks Loose Part 2. This was a mad episode. There was so much of Dean crying. It was very, very upsetting watching him grieve for Sam. They left his dead body there for a long time, longer than any normal person would have. And it is kind of, well, It is good that Dean couldn't get rid of it because they ended up saving him and Dean has been saved. So in the long run, they kind of did the right thing, even though at the times we all thought they were mental. Dean made a deal, brought Sam back. Sam didn't know. It was the last time we saw Ellen as well. Ellen was there. They opened the Devil's Gate. Azazel died. John came back. They had that horrible green screen moment with John. It was so good. And a great setup for what season 3 was gonna become. So much stuff happened in that episode. Jake as well. Sam killing Jake, and also it rung in the thought of, oh, is Sam not the person that he was before he died? And I still to this day do not know the answer to that question. Number 3, now this is the one I think might be controversial. I've got Hunted. I just remember at the time being so hyped during that episode and really loving it. It was another special children episode, right? Ava. Yes, Ava got introduced. Oh, my Ava. I loved her so much in that episode. It was so cool to see someone have the same power as Sam. And also, it was another episode where she saw that Sam... Was it Sam? Sam or Dean? Oh yeah, no, it was Sam. She saw that Sam was gonna die, and then guess who comes out the woodworks? Gordon! Gordon! Oh, maybe that episode should go higher. I'm getting so happy just talking about it. I loved that episode. Gordon came out. Dean didn't know where Sam was, but he found him and whacked Gordon. Then they set up Gordon with a tripwire and Sam's shoe, and then they shoved him into the police. It was so good. An episode where Gordon comes back is always great, just in any sense. But the fact that it was a special children episode as well, and a Sam and Dean separated ep, I do generally quite like those, surprisingly. Yeah, it was so good. I loved it. I don't think I should move it up because I really loved the next 2 episodes. So, number 2, what is and what should never be. What an episode. Dean's ideal life. The knowledge that John was still dead in his ideal life. Seeing Dean and Mary again. Really like being connected to his mom and her being so confused as to why that was the case, because that life Dean was not that kind of person. Sam and Dean were estranged, but then ultimately they ended up working together and were willing to die together. He had a lovely wife. He had so much in that life, and he almost didn't come back. That, what was it? A Jin was draining him, and if Sam hadn't have been there to try and bring him out of it in the real world, I don't think he would have come back, because the life was so ideal for him, but it only would have lasted a couple of days before he eventually died, so he had to come back. But man, it was an emotional episode, and it was one of the first episodes, or maybe even the first? Was it the first episode where we had them in a different dreamlike environment? Because we've had a few of those now. I believe it was the first one where it was like completely imaginary, completely out of their time period as well. I really enjoy those episodes. Yeah, it was an amazing episode for Dean, especially seeing what he really wished for in this life, which was for his mum to still be alive. Not his dad, his mum. And number 1, All Hell Breaks Loose Part 1. Now, with this top 5, I think people are going to agree with this one. Besides Hunted, people are going to put Tall Tales in for Hunted. Now, Tall Tales came close, believe you me, but there have just been other... Well, I preferred all these 5 episodes to Tall Tales anyway, but also with regards to like the funny episodes, I think I've preferred quite a few of the others over Tall Tales. I don't know, but I do really like the Trickster. I thought he was an amazing villain first time round, and also Bobby being the MVP yet again. It was very funny and everything. I don't know, I just don't have the same like happy memories of it as I do these episodes, or even some of the other funny ones that will probably be in my top 5. I can't actually remember my other top 5s until I look at them. But there'll probably be some funny episodes in my other top 5s that I just enjoyed more than Tall Tales even. So I'd say it was probably like 6th or 7th out of season 2. I cannot believe how long I'm taking on this. It's getting dark now. So number 1, All Hell Breaks Loose part 2. No, part 1. The shock of a Winchester actually dying. Crazy. Oh my god, Sam died. Ooh, heartbreaking scene. I don't know what I would pick as my most heartbreaking scene of Supernatural so far. That one is up there because that was just so shocking that Sam died, that one of them could die. I never thought any of them would actually die until season 15. So this just opened up a whole new realm of possibilities of where this show could go, how serious they could treat their characters. It was crazy. But even prior to Sam's death, even though that was the standout scene, the special children. I love the special children. Having like a Hunger Games situation with the special children. Plot twist of Ava being evil. She had been in like many of these games before and won them. This was the final. And she was all out to win. She succumbed to the darkness and was killing some of the others. That was sad to me because I really loved Ava and I was worried about her for like the whole season. Turned out evil AF. But anyway, the fact that this was part of Azazel's plan as well. The whole time he wanted them to face off to become the ultimate person to lead his army. Sam wasn't willing to kill Jake in order to do it, and then Jake killed him. And I'm sorry, I know my thoughts aren't very organised when I talk about this. I should have planned a script or wrote down notes or something, but I'm just going off what I remember. So this essentially is just me reliving these episodes while I think about them. I just looked at the titles, made a top 5. That was it. I didn't like rewatch any scenes or anything, so that's basically me doing that now. I sincerely apologise. All Hell Breaks Loose part 1. First episode of the show I gave a 10 out of 10 as well, which is probably a bit harsh of me, because What Is and What Should Never Be probably should have got a 10, and Hunted, because of how much I love it, should have got a 10 as well probably, because I've given so many episodes in season 4 a 10. I feel like I was a bit harsh on the earlier episodes, but All Hell Breaks Loose part 1 was the first episode of Supernatural. I gave it 10. Incredible storyline. Oh my god, and Ash died in that episode. Ellen's bar burned down. I really don't understand why they haven't brought Ellen back. Where the hell is she? But them killing off Ash, I will never forgive them. So sad. I loved him. Okay, season 3. This one was a lot easier to find its top 5 for. Seasons 1 and 2 I found really hard. Season 3 was by far the easiest, in fact. At number 5, we have got Fresh Blood. A Gordon episode. What can I say? Gordon turning into the monster that he never wanted to be, that he always hunted. Poetic cinema, honestly. Being killed by Sam, the person that he had been trying to kill the whole time. Sam winning. Epic. So good. And you know, I think we all kind of agree that Gordon probably would never have killed himself, even though he was saying so. He killed his friend because he was trying to kill him because he was a monster now. He was like, no, I will kill Sam Winchester and then I will kill myself. Fuck off, Gordon. You would not have done that. You were turning into a monster, mate. Just admit it. I do wonder if there's a possibility that Gordon could come back someday if he went to hell, because I'm sure that dude was going there. If they brought Gordon back someday, I think that would be really cool. But maybe he's run his course now. He had like 2 or 3 comebacks. Maybe that was enough. If they ever bring Gordon back, I will be amazed and surprised, and it will probably be in my top 5. At number 4, Bad Day at Black Rock. So this is one of those instances where it was a funny episode that I think I preferred to Tall Tales. So funny. The introduction of Bella? Was it Bella's first episode? I think so. The rabbit's foot, some very gruesome deaths in there. The knife one. Ugh. But season 3 was pretty brutal deaths all round. Like, there was some scary deaths in season 3. It was so funny seeing them play these, like, really comedic sides of Sam and Dean. They basically, like there's that scene when Sam's like, I lost my shoe. because he had the bad luck and it got stuck down a drain or something, or stuck to some gum. I can't remember completely. Seeing everything go wrong for them in a comedic way was so funny. Things go wrong for them all the time, but in that episode it was just hilarious. Bella also proving herself to be so iconic by stealing their lottery tickets off them that they had won, or scratch cards, wasn't it? Scratch cards. 42k, I think it was as well. $42,000. I miss Bella. She was great. Number 3, Juice and Bello. Henriksen. How I hated you for so long until this episode. And you know what? Thinking about Juice and Bello now after watching the season 4 finale, it's like, how did I trust Ruby all this time? Bruh, she was trying to get him to kill an innocent person in that. And it might have worked out for the best. But now knowing Ruby's intentions, it almost seems like it was a bit like the season 4 finale, where she was getting him to kill that innocent nurse after the demon had reverted back to being the normal human. She made him kill that innocent girl for the greater good, and she was trying to get him to do it back then in season 3. Introduction of Lilith as well. First time we saw Lilith and her white eyes. It was a great episode. Predominantly because of the Henriksen stuff, like seeing him come around. He'd captured Sam and Dean finally, but then he realised all this time that after all this time that they were right and that they were genuinely good guys. That was so great and lovely, and the character development from Henriksen was insane. I do think he would have been a very, very worthy and good ally for the Winchesters had he lived. But he did his best in that situation. He helped them fight. It's just sad that Lilith got there in the end to kill everyone, so it was kind of all for nothing. Number 2. Oh. For some reason I had in my head that these two were the other way around. No, I think this is right. Number 2, A Very Supernatural Christmas. First Supernatural Christmas episode, and I hope not the last. A flashback episode as well, which always good to see. Hard hitters generally. We found out the meaning behind Dean's necklace, that Sam gave it to him that one year because John never turned up, and Dean still wears it every day to this day. Oh, cute. He can be cute and sentimental when he wants to be, but a horrible insight into the lonely Christmases they had growing up and how strained their relationship could be at times because they were both children. Dean was a child who had to look after another child. Like, it wasn't always sunshine and roses. The villains in that episode were amazing too. Well, I can't remember the name. Krampus? No, it wasn't Krampus, was it? I don't even know what I'm thinking of. They were pagan gods and they were hilarious. Oh, the fingernail scene. The fingernail. A couple of people have commented stories about their fingernails coming off, and I mean, kind of gross, but thank you for letting me know that they do grow back. They had brutal deaths though. It was funny episode amidst all the heartache of the flashbacks. And then number 1, no one is going to disagree with this, Mystery Spot. This is another season where the finale, penultimate episode and the season premiere aren't in my top 5, but I just preferred some of these episodes more. What can I say? No one's going to dispute this. I don't think. Mystery Spot, just hilarious, heartbreaking, all at the same time. Heat of the moment. I can't listen to that song the same anymore. Thankfully it hasn't ruined that song for me, as I'm sure it would have done for Sam. Crazy to think Dean died over 100 times. Trickster return, insight into Sam going so dark post Dean. Trickster giving Sam some home truths. Dean dying in hilarious and chaotic ways. A+. I was supposed to just briefly say why those were my top 5 for the first 3 seasons. All I've done is speak for 45 minutes at this point in time, and I've basically just given a recap of the episodes. I don't think I've said why they're my favourites. Listen, the reason these are all in my top 5 really is just because they're the ones that I enjoyed the most. That's it. Like, I know technically some episodes are better story-wise and all that. Like with season 1, Devil's Trap, the final episode is much better story-wise than Phantom Traveller, but I just had more enjoyment watching Phantom Traveller, and it sticks out in my memory more as like an episode I love rather than Devil's Trap. So that is always how I rate things and base them on. There is no rhyme or reason as to why I enjoy one episode over the other. It is what it is. Now on to season 4. By far the hardest to choose. So initially I went through all the episodes and I wrote down the ones I think would make the top 5, and I ended up with 10. A top 10 essentially. I'm not going to sit here and do a top 10 because of how long I've been sat here, but let's just say the 5 that I missed out on, it was very, very hard and it hurts to leave them out. I will say what those episodes are. The episodes that haven't made the top 5 are After School Special, Heaven and Hell, Sex and Violence, It's a Terrible Life, and Yellow Fever. Again, I know what you're thinking. Oh my god, Sex and Violence made your top 10. Listen, it's just a monster of the week that I really, really enjoyed. Chris Angel is a douchebag, is lucky he didn't make it. Season 4 was so good. It had some amazing monster of the weeks that really are gonna like stick with me for ages. Monster movie, Wishful Thinking, obviously Chris Angel was a douchebag, and Sex and Violence. But there were so many big story plot episodes that just stick out more and have so much more like meaning to me. As much as I enjoy those episodes, like It's a Terrible Life and Yellow Fever, pains me not to have them in the top 5, but it is what it is. At number 5 I have got Lucifer Rising. This has the potential to go up. I feel like I have the opposite of recency bias. If I have something I've just watched recently, it takes me a while to like fully absorb it for it to like beat others. I mean, it's made the top 5, so it's done well, but I don't know, I feel like on a rewatch or something it would shoot up even more. But because I've literally just watched it the other day, I haven't quite processed everything that's happened and like moved on. So it's at number 5 for now. Post episode thoughts. Lucifer Rising. Oh my god. Angels, not as nice as they seemed all along. Angels and demons all wanted the same thing. They all want the apocalypse to happen. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath. No one seems to care about humans. God's checked out. Ruby unveiling herself to be the bitch that she always was. Castiel proving himself to be the king he always was. Yes! Oh, my homies love Castiel. He was so good. The MVP for once. Not Bobby. Sam and Dean were separated again. Sam and Dean separated eps always hit hard and are good. Dean was trapped in a room. We saw the angel like blood thingy again. I have a lot of questions about that. Lilith is gone, so that's a good thing to come from the episode. It just basically had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. I did not know which way I was going to go. Well, I knew that Sam was going to kill Lilith. I was pretty dead set on that and the gate opening, but I didn't expect the whole stuff with the angels. Like when Zachariah gave that speech and was like, we wanted this all along. We didn't actually save you to stop this from happening. We saved you so that you can kill Lucifer or whatever. They led him down this wild goose chase, and it seems to be that both the angels and Ruby all had the same plan of trying to separate Sam and Dean so that things could go their way. And, you know, it's an episode where I feel anger, a lot of anger, that we all got played. Well, I always say we all because I feel like everyone has the same thoughts as me. But no, I got played. Georgia, just admit it, you got played. I got played by Ruby for a long time. I got played by the angels. I was never really sure what their plan was because, let's face it, they did not give anything away. But I didn't think that was their plan. I was like, they can't be 100% good, but they can't be as bad as the demons. Well, they're letting this happen, so God, we shall see what happens in season 5 when Lucifer rises. Very excited. This episode was a great setup for season 5 and a great finale. My favourite, hang on a sec, I don't know. No, it is because I gave this one a 10. I didn't give All Hell Breaks Loose Part 2 a 10. So yeah, my favourite finale so far. Number 4, monster at the end of this book. Man, Oh my god. Chuck, a prophet? Writing the Winchesters' lives? Absolute insanity. So funny as well. To know that everything they've lived since the start of this show has been written out so meticulously and so detailed by a person. And poor Chuck, what this must have imposed on him. Now every time he has these visions, he knows that they're actually happening. He knows what's actually in store for this world. It's a horrible thing to live with. I don't envy him whatsoever. He was drinking a lot before. I think he'll be drinking a lot more now. Having to live with knowing that all this stuff is happening. I do wonder though, I don't know if I'll ever get it, but if people have fan theories, feel free. What it was that he had that vision of at the end, that Zachariah was like, don't tell them, just keep writing, it's better off that people don't know what's going to happen. Was it that he saw that Lucifer rises and the world becomes, I don't know, hell? The world burns? A common theme with my favourite episodes seem to be ones that introduce new things that I never considered possible, that break new boundaries, like a prophet and an archangel. Shout out to Castiel again. When Castiel was like, I can't help you, and then he helped in such a subtle way. Oh my god, loved that moment so much. We now acknowledge that archangels protect prophets. I wonder if we'll meet any other prophets somewhere down the line. Whether any of the other prophets will have the same thing as Chuck. Could they be new special children? They also know what's happening to Sam and Dean at all times. So it's an interesting path that we could go down there. Number 3, on the head of a pin. The return of Alistair and Dean. There was so much beautiful imagery in this episode that I mentioned at the time, like with Dean looking like he was the one on the cross because Alistair was like torturing him with his words rather than the physical torture. It was satisfying to see Dean punishing Alistair, but the words that he said kind of hurt more than that, making him feel bad about turning bad in hell, saying that Dean withstood it for, not Dean, John withstood it for, what was it, 70 years? 70 years he did it and he never turned dark, double the length of time that he did. Well, I stand by. Dean took a lot longer to crack than a lot of other humans would. People have also raised the point that they might have been harsher on Dean. It was their last chance to get a righteous man to break. Like, they missed their shot with John. They had to go even harder on Dean to break him. There's a chance they could have been harsher on him. Either way, anyone would have broken. Like, it's an absolutely horrific thing to go through. Also, Uriel turned out to be bad. He was on Lucifer's side. He was killing other angels because he wanted to adhere to his god Lucifer. We saw how he felt about the system. They blindly follow a god who they've never even met. They don't know what he's like. They don't know why they're doing it. Kind of the antithesis to Anna. But Anna came good and she killed Uriel, saved Castiel. Sam blasted Alistair with his powers. And then that heartbreaking scene at the end of Dean in the hospital, finding out the truth about why he was saved. It wasn't. But finding out that he was saved because the righteous man who starts the seal opening has to be the one that ends it. And then him being so down on himself and saying, I don't want to do it, find someone else. Jensen's acting, one of his standout moments of the season. Heartbreaking, but an absolutely amazing episode, story-wise and plot-wise, and revealing so much more than I ever anticipated. Number 2, and I believe this will be most people's number 1, but it's my number 2. Lazarus Rising. The introduction of angels. The shock I felt when I saw that Dean was back from hell from minute 1, episode 1 of this season. Couldn't believe it. I thought for sure we were going to get so many scenes of him being tortured in hell. I thought maybe a quest for like 3 episodes was going to be that they find a way to rescue him from hell. Never would have thought that he would come back straight away, but I'm so glad that they did it because I didn't want to see him in hell. And also, given how the story all played out and like how played he was by it and how we got like new tidbits of information about his time there throughout the season. I thought it was done so beautifully. But also the introduction of angels, the introduction of Castiel. A great episode. That final scene is so good. When we saw the wings, whoa, I would never get over my shock of finding out that angels were real and that Dean was saved because of angels. It's low-key tainted now. But at the time I loved it. It felt so special that Dean was saved because he had potential, because he was going to do great things for this world, which, I mean, all of that is still true. All of that is still true. But I feel like he had more, like, I don't know, a glimpse of high self-esteem, thinking that God saved him to do great things. But now, season 4 finale, finding out why he was already saved, it's a bit like, well, you're all liars, fuck you. Lazarus Rising was brilliant. And emotional moments, oh my god, when he showed up at Bobby's place and he was trying to kill him, and then it turned into an emotional moment. Same thing with Sam. He was trying to kill him and then it turned out to be emotional when they realised it was really him. So cute. Oh, and the handprint as well. He had that handprint from Castiel. We've had a couple glimpses of that throughout the season. That's going to be burned on there forever by the looks of it. An amazing premiere. For sure, my favourite premiere so far. Number 1, In the Beginning. Oh my goodness, what an episode. Oh, seeing the past. This was an episode where at the time I felt so bad that we didn't get to see Sam, because Sam was barely in the episode, and I still do feel a bit bad having an episode at number 1 where Sam was in like, what, 2 seconds, because I do love both the brothers equally, and you know, I want them to get their fair share of time, and also because Sam never gets to see their parents or see their mother. Like Dean had the what is and what there should never be episode where he got to see his mother again. So going back in time, it was like Dean got to see her again. It's always Dean, but it was written, wasn't it? Like Castiel said at the end, there was absolutely nothing you could have done. This was always meant to happen. It's so crazy. It's like Matrix level shit. I haven't seen The Matrix, so I don't know if that reference is right, but I hear the phrase used. But it's like baffling, like, you know, that was always going to happen. We spent all this time thinking so much stuff could have changed, but Dean was always going to go back there and witness it and know that it never changed. It's crazy. But I love it when we find out the truth behind their past, like the whole stuff with the Zazel, John, Mary. We now know why Mary recognised Azazel when she died. We were hanging on to that from season 2. Mary was a hunter. First shock of the ep was seeing that Dean went back a few years, and seeing John, who was so lovely back in the day, but then finding out that Mary was a hunter so many years prior to John, a hunter who made a deal with Azazel and brought John back to life. This freaking family has been doing this since day dot. They have all made so many deals. I'm so surprised that the Crossroad Demons have allowed them to continue doing it, because they've done it 3 times? Sam has tried a few times and he's never been able to get it. He's the only one that hasn't made one. Come on, it's only fair. Joke. It's such a standout episode thinking about it now. Like, we saw their whole past. We saw their grandparents. Dean's or his grandparents. Mary kissed her dad. That is my takeaway from that episode. Mary made out with her dad. Ew, it's burned on my brain, that is. We find solace now in the fact that we know that nothing could have ever been done to change it. Dean warned Mary when he was like on said date. I'm sorry, I'm not an SPM fan because I don't know the date. But on the date, don't get out of bed. Such a touching moment, and she just didn't bloody listen. Because they're all like that, aren't they? Dean doesn't listen to Sam doesn't listen to Dean, John didn't listen to his kids. She didn't listen. She made the deal that ended up effing up their lives. All of this is down to Mary. It's kind of messed up in it, but there's nothing they could have done to change it in any shape or form. But the fact that he was actually there, like, as a grown human being, that's what blows my mind. Like, he was there in the same time frame, at the same age as his parents, pretty much. Watching them fall in love, watching his grandparents die, watching his dad die the first time, watching his mum make a deal, watching her make out with her dad. He saw everything and couldn't stop it, no matter what. And that was another nice Castiel moment. I should have just thought of a Castiel moment to praise him on for everything, because I really, really loved him. An amazing introduction to Castiel. He could be dead. I think he might be dead after the season 4 finale, but we'll see. Castiel has been such a great addition to this season, and I really, really hope he's in season 5 and he's not dead after the final episode, because they said archangels will come in. Angels can kill other angels, so there's a chance he could be dead. But anyway, so that is my top 5 episodes of each season of Supernatural. I have been filming for an hour and 8 minutes. Ridiculous. Oh my god, I didn't realise I could talk about Supernatural so much. If anyone made it this far, thank you. I'm sorry. Please do comment your top 5 down below. I mean, I'd love to hear your top 5 for every single season, but if you want to just do top 5 for season 4, I'm all for it. I know it's very difficult, like I know firsthand how hard it was to do this, but if you're able to muster up a top 5, please do let me know. I'm so interested to know. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching my reaction to the Supernatural season 4 gag reel and my top 5 episodes for each season so far. I will see you next time for the season 5 premiere. Bye!